In the middle of the chaos, the looper was suddenly pulled into a strange version of the Apollo Island by a glowing rift butterfly. But this wasn't the Apollo they knew. The island had somehow merged with New York City, and things were completely different. Big names like Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Ice Spice, and Juice WRLD controlled areas that used to belong to the agency. It was like stepping into a wild new reality. To make things even stranger, the musicians hosted a massive cosmic concert that mixed music with bursts of glowing energy, shaking the world around them. It felt surreal, like reality itself was being rewritten. As soon as the concert ended, the Rift Butterfly returned and pulled the looper into a swirling wormhole, along with Hope, Jones, and the trusty battle bus. On the other side, they landed in a completely new world, Onisoshima Island, a place filled with secrets and danger. But they weren't the only things that came through the wormhole. A strange object, glowing and powerful, followed them. It crashed onto Oninoshima, sending out a huge shockwave that woke up magic that had been hidden on the island for ages. Portals that had been sealed for centuries suddenly reopened, and with them came an invasion of demons, ready to take over. The arrival of the artifact marked the start of something huge, and the battle to save the island had only just begun. When the artifact crashed onto Oninoshima, the entire island shook. Its energy sent out a massive shockwave that woke up old magic buried deep within the land. Portals that had been closed for centuries burst open, letting demons pour through and attack. Hope and Jones, experienced from their battles on Helios Island, quickly realized the artifact wasn't just any object. Its glow reminded Hope of Pandora's box, making her wonder if it was connected to her strange powers. The two set up base in a bustling city called Hopeful Heights, a place where survivors from all over the island were gathering to escape the chaos. Even though the city was protected by magical barriers, cracks were starting to form. Strange shadows and whispers were creeping through, and people were getting nervous. Hope and Jones team up with the Looper, a skilled fighter, to figure out what the artifact really was and how to stop the demons. The Looper's journey started in Hopeful Heights, where they met Kendo and Jade, two locals who have been defending the island since the demons appeared. Kendo was a tough warrior who believed in protecting Oninoshima's traditions, while Jade was curious and loved studying the island's old magic. The first mission was clear: stop the demons from getting closer to Hopeful Heights. Together, they fought back waves of attackers and collected a strange glowing substance called Essence, left behind by the defeated demons. Jade thought the Essence might hold clues about the artifact, so they brought it back to study. Hope joined in, using her unique ability to see visions through her graffiti art. When she used the Essence, she saw a shadowy figure binding the island's magic to something that looked like Pandora's box. This only made her more determined to uncover the truth about the artifact and its connections to her powers. Things took a turn for the worse in week 2 when Jade went missing. Kendo was sure his brother Dego was behind it. Dego was known for making magical masks out of trapped sprites, and he had been hiding in masked meadows far from the safety of the city. Kendo and the Looper headed into the creepy night shift forest, following rumors about a portal to the spirit realm, where they believed Jade was trapped. The forest was dangerous, full of demons and strange noises. At its center, they found a glowing portal that felt eerily similar to the artifact. In Dego's underground workshop, the Looper discovered the truth. Jade had asked Dego for help after feeling cursed by the demons. Dego gave her one of the magical masks to protect her, but the mask backfired and sent her into the spirit realm instead. Dego claimed he didn't mean any harm, but Kendo wasn't sure if he could trust him. The spirit realm was unlike anything the Looper had seen before. It was a strange shifting world where the normal rules of time and space didn't apply. Jade's presence could be sensed, but reaching her wasn't easy. The demons in the spirit realm were smarter and more powerful than the ones on Onisoshima, and they seemed to know more about the artifact than anyone else. Hope started to believe that the artifact might be more than just a piece of Pandora's box. It could be a fragment of the 0 point itself. If that was true, its power could affect not just Onisoshima, but every reality it touched. As the Looper battled through the spirit realm to rescue Jade, more mysteries popped up. Who tied the island's magic to Pandora's box in the first place? Why did the Rift Butterfly bring the artifact to Onisoshima? And what did Hope's connection to Pandora's box really mean for her future? While back in Hopeful Heights, things were getting worse. The barriers protecting the city were starting to fail, and demons were slipping through more often. Survivors were scared, and some even started whispering about a new danger, something much worse than the demons. Some claimed they saw dark figures lurking in the forest, watching coming from the edges of the portals. Others spoke to a demon lord who was gathering an army to take control of the artifacts. Hope, Jones, Kendo, and Alupa knew time was running out. They needed to figure out what the artifact was and how to stop the demons before it was too late. But the more they learned, the more complicated things became. Could they protect Onisoshima and uncover the artifact's secrets? Or would the island's ancient magic fall into the wrong hands? It all starts with the crash of an ancient artifact that doesn't just bring magic back to the Fortnite island. It completely disrupts the fabric of reality itself. Dimensional rifts begin appearing across the map, connecting our world to others. These rifts aren't just eye candy, they're conduits for creatures and entities from other dimensions. And here's the kicker, the arrival of these rifts sets the stage for some seriously epic chaos. The demons? Yeah, they're terrifying. But as the island plunged into chaos, the rifts also bring unexpected allies. Enter Godzilla and King Kong. Let's talk about their roles in this wild storyline. First up, Godzilla. This legendary kaiju, the king of the monsters, rises from the ocean's depths, drawn by the unnatural disturbances caused by the artifact and the rifts. But Godzilla isn't here to just stomp around aimlessly. No, he's the guardian of the balance. He senses the demonic chaos threatening the natural order of the island and decides to intervene. Godzilla's mission? To restore balance by taking on the malevolent forces head on. And let's be real, seeing Godzilla unleash his atomic breath on these demons is a definition of epic. Now let's talk about King Kong. Unlike Godzilla, who emerges from our world's ocean, Kong arrives through one of the dimensional rifts. And while Godzilla's focus is on restoring balance, Kong takes a more personal approach. Kong becomes the protector of the realm, allying with the island's inhabitants. His immense strength and agility makes him a crucial asset in the fight against the demonic invasion. But while all this is happening, something is going on with Kendo and Hope. It all begins with Kendo investigating the artifact's crash site. But instead of answers, he finds an empty crater. Strange, right? Hope soon joins the investigation, and the two discover that splinters of the artifact have scattered all across the island. This is where things get creepy. Hope figures out that these splinters are somehow tied to the demons haunting the island. With this discovery, Kendo sets out to forge a new weapon to combat the rising threat. Enter the Splinter Blade. Mystical weapons crafted at Demon's Dojo from the shards of the artifact itself. These blades are so powerful that they can cut open the spirit realm itself. Now here's where it gets even darker. At the heart of Demon's Dojo lies the puppeteer, a malevolent force controlling Night Rose. Night Rose is no ordinary warrior. She's a cunning and fearsome demon, bound to serve the puppeteer as part of an ancient duty. And let me tell you, her design is absolutely chilling. Pale skin, dead black eyes, Oni horns, and shadow magic covering her hands. Despite her terrifying appearance, Night Rose stands apart from the other demon warriors. While most have lost all traces of humanity, she retains a glimmer of her former self, and this makes her story even more tragic. If you listen closely during gameplay, you can actually hear her cry out lines like, "Help me," "Hey," as if calling out, "Who are you?" and "Stay away." These lines show that she doesn't want to attack the player and is even warning them to stay away. Adding to her complexity, Night Rose has the ability to separate her spirit into shades. These shades will haunt, stalk, and slash at anyone who dares wander into her dojo. It's like she's trying to protect something, or maybe warn you to turn back. In the story quest, Kendo finally confronts the puppeteer. After an intense battle, he defeats the malevolent force, temporarily freeing Night Rose from its control. But here's the catch, the puppeteer is so powerful that it can resurrect Night Rose if she's killed. Talk about an uphill battle. Kendo entrusts the Splinter Blades to Night Rose, believing they hold the key to her permanent freedom. But Night Rose has her own plans. While she agrees to help Kendo save Jade from the spirit realm, she's also plotting her personal vengeance. I mean, can you blame her? She's been enslaved for who knows how long. Now, if you're brave enough to venture into Demon's Dojo, you're prepared. Night Rose may no longer be under the puppeteer's control, but she's not exactly welcoming. Shades still guard the dojo, stalking and haunting anyone who dares enter. The atmosphere here is pure nightmare fuel. And let's not forget, Night Rose's ultimate goal is to reveal the secrets of the comet. What does she know that we don't? That's the big question. So there you have it, from the chaos unleashed by the artifact and its rifts to Godzilla and King Kong stepping in as unexpected saviors in Night Rose's heartbreaking fight for freedom. This season of Fortnite is packed with twists, battles, and mysteries. But the story doesn't stop here. The Splinter Blades, the secrets of the common, and Night Rose's quest for vengeance leaves us all with one question: what comes next? At first glance, the Kappa Kappa factory seemed like an ordinary facility, workers maintaining the conveyor belts and the smell of vinegar in the air. But deep within its hidden chambers, something far more sinister is brewing. Among the countless barrels of pickles, one contains an anomaly, a massive unnatural pickle infused with unknown energy. Monarch had taken over the facility. What was once a humble farm rapidly turned into a massive factory. But they weren't interested in the pickles themselves. No. Their focus was on the vines, strange, rapidly growing tendrils that defied the natural order. These vines accelerated the growth of the pickle at an alarming rate, leading to whispers of bioengineering and experimentation beyond human comprehension. Then came the most unsettling discovery: a mysterious book found within the factory's archives. Its cover depicted a peculiar pickle that bore an uncanny resemblance to Peely. Could this be a mere coincidence, or had Peely's DNA been used in something far more horrifying? The project known as Pickle Man was rumored to be the factory's crowning achievement, but Monarch's intervention suggested something even darker. What if the grotesque pickle wasn't just a failed experiment? What if it was something more, something attempting to take on the form of Peely himself? While chaos loomed on the horizon, another battle was being fought in the shadows. Dego, the enigmatic mask maker of masked meadows, had been searching for something his entire life: power beyond the mortal realm. As the eldest of his siblings, he inherited a Thousand Faces shop, once a thriving business, now a sanctuary for his relentless experiments. His true obsession? The Mask of Power. This ancient artifact was rumored to be crafted by his ancestors during the Shattering War, a battle fought between mortals and Oni for dominion over the spirit realm. Legends warned that the mask had once torn the veil between worlds, allowing demons to slip into reality. But for Dego, this wasn't just about power. His sister Jade had vanished into the spirit realm, trapped between worlds. His experiments with masks had unintentionally amplified her curse, and now she was reaching out through the veil. The mask was the key to saving her, but at what cost? The mask had put her there in the first place, but it's the only thing that can bring her back. Some believed it could bind her essence back to the mortal plane. Others feared it would only deepen the rifts, unleashing the Oni and their dark warriors upon Oninoshima. The spirit realm wasn't just another dimension, it was a prison, a fractured plane where past and present blurred together. V, once a member of the old Fox clan, had barely escaped its grasp. She spoke of a forest she only described as old and bad, something that had devoured the souls of her kin. Now with the rebirth of the Fox clan and Drift's second apprentice, Surge stepping into the light, the past threatened to return. And the deeper Dego delved into the secrets of the Mask of Power, the more he realized that the spirit realm was on the verge of collapse. Jade's voice grew desperate, repeating one cryptic phrase: "The Shard, the Shard." Hope and Jones had been searching for the Zero Shard, completely unaware of the dark forces plotting in the background. But Valeria's recent loading screen, depicting a cracked 0 point, hinted at a chilling truth. Pandora's box and the Zero Shards were one and the same. If left unchecked, these shards could become conduits for dark artifacts, spreading corruption across the island. Enter Odyssey, a traveler between realities. She hadn't arrived in Chapter 5 by chance. She was here with a purpose. She had seen this before in another timeline, in another reality. If the Oni managed to fuse the Zero Shard with the Mask of Power, the veil between realms would shatter entirely. In his attempts to help Jade, Dego unknowingly trapped her in the spirit realm. The mask he gave her, believed to be a protective artifact, was actually cursed and crafted from dark magic, sealing her fate. Meanwhile, Hope and Kendo scoured the crash site where the artifact landed, finding splinters imbued with mysterious energy. They forged these into the spirit blades, weapons they believed could break curses and free those under dark influence. The duo entrusted the spirit blades to Night Rose, hoping she would use them to break free from the puppeteer who controlled her. If freed, she might be willing to enter the spirit realm to save Jade, but instead she passed the weapon to Dego. However, Dego had other plans. Instead instead of returning the splinter blades, he began formulating his own strategy. He started trapping sprites in his underground lair, conducting experiments that led to the creation of 6 new masks. Armed with his new creations, Dego set out towards the only inactive portal on the map, a massive structure completely frozen in ice. Whatever he was planning, it was clear that his journey was far from over. The event kicks off with Dego harnessing his power to unite the floating masks, forging a golden mask of immense energy. With his new power, he attempts to pull Jade from the portal, but instead Shogun X emerges, ready for battle. This unexpected twist sends shockwaves through the battlefields, as the fate of both the heroes and the island hangs in the balance. Shogun X wastes no time, grabbing Dego and slamming him into the ground. The fight escalates as both warriors grow to massive sizes and we all get thrown into another dimension. Shogun tries to drain the Looper's souls, but Dego quickly stops him. Dego's spirit blades clash against Shogun X's massive sword in an intense back and forth. Their weapons spark against each other, illuminating the sky with gold and dark energy. But just as it seems Dego is gaining the upper hand, Shogun X calls upon the power of the void, dealing a devastating blow that sends Dego crashing into the ruins of an ancient temple. With Dego weakened, Shogun X seizes the opportunity, gripping his face in an attempt to rip away the golden mask. But just when all the hope seems lost, Dego channels his love for Jade, unlocking a hidden strength. With one final enchanted strike, he mortally wounds Shogun X, sending his dark essence spiraling back into the portal. The portal begins to collapse in on itself, causing a massive shockwave that knocks all players back. With Shogun X gone, the portal stabilizes, allowing Jade to finally return. She quickly informs the Looper of a dire threat. The spirit realm still holds the Zero Shard, and if it escapes, it could consume the island entirely. The battle might be over, but the danger is far from gone. As for Dego, no one knows where he is. Many believe he remains trapped within the spirit realm, searching for both the dark presence and the Zero Shard. If he's alive, he may be the only one who can stop it, or he's just gonna make things a million times worse than what they already are. Another shocking revelation emerges. Shogun X was the puppeteer all along. He was the one who possessed and controlled Night Rose. While she had already broken free from his grasp, his final defeat means she's truly free at last. No more fear, no more control. For the first time, she can finally breathe. But perhaps the most shocking twist, Warrior's Wash is now overflowing with gold. The moment the event ended, massive amounts of gold appeared across the location, sparking one undeniable theory: Midas is back. And one question remains: what role will he play in the chaos of Chapter 6 Season 2? If you ask Jade about the gold, she says she doesn't know what it is, but that it will bring greed, fighting, and mayhem. Well, that lines up perfectly with Season 2's crime-focused theme. Expect a season full of heists, vaults, and high-stakes action. So next to the portal, you can now find a radio that appears to be transmitting Morse code. Some dedicated players have already translated the message, and it spells out "breached vault." What's even more intriguing is that when you turn the audio into a spectrogram, you get this image. And those icons look a lot like a wolf or fox face. That has to be connected to Season 2's big villain, Midas' old friend. Many believe this new character is a kitsune, a mythical fox creature from Japanese folklore. So could we be teaming up with Midas to pull off a heist against this kitsune? It's definitely looking that way. And now we even have a name: Fletcher Kane. Now, remember when we made the whole video about the massive pickle growing in Kappa Kappa Factory? Well, turns out we were right. This pickle is actually the birth of a new Season 2 character, Big Dill. But here's the crazy part. This pickle isn't just some random mutation. We actually found a book showing plans to grow a pickle into a fully functional living being. And if that wasn't wild enough, Big Dill is apparently part of a musical group called the Tasty Boys. The story of Fortnite continues to unfold, and things are getting intense. Dego is missing, crime is spreading, and gold has taken over the island. According to a conversation between Jade and Kendo, Dego is no longer on the island. That means he's exactly where he said he would go, the spirit realm. But there's a problem. During the battle between Dego and Shogun X, the main spirit portal shattered, and the remaining portals vanished. Even if Dego wanted to return, he can't. He's trapped in the spirit realm with no known way out. out. Meanwhile, back on the island, something strange started happening. The western regions of Oninoshima transformed. Leaves turned gold, streaks of gold appeared in the grasslands, and even the river started flowing with gold. But where there's gold, there's greed. With gold appearing everywhere, chaos followed. But one man, Fletcher Kane, took control. He's a robber baron who sees the opportunity to establish his own empire, building a network of banks and ruling the region with his wealth. As Kane's influence grew, so did the resistance against him. Skillet, a retired criminal, wasn't about to let Kane have it all. He called on the Looper for one last job, a heist that would shake Kane's empire. Using a batch of thermite, they cracked open a bank vault, then intercepted Kane's communications at Outlaw Oasis to prevent reinforcements. With the help of Skillet's associate Valentina, they managed to rob Kane's personal safe and escape with a stash of gold. But their actions had consequences. Elsewhere on the island, a chemist named Joss had her own suspicions. She believed the sudden gold rush was unnatural. Determined to prove her theory, she sent the Looper to Crime City to investigate the sudden appearance of Big Dill, who was preparing for a mysterious party. With more research, Joss made a shocking discovery. Traces of magic were mixed within the gold itself. The gold wasn't just valuable, it was supernatural. But if magic was involved, what was its true purpose? And who or what was really behind it? Midas stood at the heart of the operation, his golden touch extending beyond wealth. This time he sought control. The island was in turmoil and the 0-point shard was at stake. Kane and Dego, two powerful rivals, were closing in. But Midas had a plan, and to execute it, he needed the help of a trusted Looper, someone willing to infiltrate the shadows and retrieve what was necessary. The mission began with a test of loyalty. To prove themselves, the Looper had to complete a shadow briefing, choosing from a variety of covered tasks. Shadow had always been loyal to Midas, and their resurgence in these operations confirmed that he was rallying his forces. This was more than a simple job. It was the beginning of a war against Kane's growing influence. With their credentials established, the Looper moved on to the next phase, securing alliances. The black markets were the key. Midas needed the outlaws on his side, or at least to ensure they wouldn't stand against him. With a hefty sum of 1,000 bars, the Looper greased the wheels of the underground, ensuring that when the time came, the outlaws would remember who had paid them well. But power wasn't just bought, it was taken. The Looper's next mission led them deeper into the black market's secret vaults, where outlaw chests held critical supplies. Not just anyone could access them though. A rare or better outlaw keycard was required, which meant those who had sought treasure had to earn it. By completing 10 stages of outlaw keycard progression, the Looper finally obtained what they needed and cracked open the chest. Inside, the tools for the next phase of Midas' operation lay awaiting. Then the mission took an eerie turn. Armed with a sensor backpack, the Looper followed the trail of something ancient, something powerful. The air crackled with energy as they climbed the mountains south of Crime City. There they found traces of something unnatural, a broken portal pulsing with residual energy. Looming above them was a colossal wolf statue, its gaze seeming to pierce through time itself. Whatever the 0-point shard was, it had already begun to disrupt reality. Time was running out. If Kane and Dego were after the shard, Midas needed an edge. The Looper descended into the sewers beneath Masked Meadows, slipping through the darkness to find a hidden workshop. There, in the depths of the mask maker's hideout, lay a book, a guide to Dego's mask-making techniques. If Dego had knowledge connected to the shard, Midas needed it. The Looper snatched the book and disappeared into the shadows, unseen and unheard. With the book in hand, the Looper returned to the black market above Masked Meadows. Midas stood waiting, his golden eyes gleamed as he flipped through the stolen pages. His suspicions were confirmed. Both Kane and Dego were closing in on the shard, but Midas wasn't just interested in stopping them. He had his own plans for its power. However, for now, he assured Jones and Hope that they shared a common enemy. For now, they were allies. The battle for the 0-point shard was far from over. Midas had set his pieces on the board and his game had begun. But was he truly a saver in this fight, or merely another player chasing ultimate power? The island trembled as forces beyond compression closed in, and as the Looper stood at Midas' side, one question remained. Would Midas keep his word? The island trembled under the weight of an unseen war. In the shadows, Midas had begun his grand scheme, planned to disrupt the power-hungry Baron Cain and his growing empire. But this wasn't just about revenge. Midas needed chaos, a smokescreen to mask his true objective, keeping Cain distracted long enough for his own forces to strike. And so the Golden Mastermind turned to the outlaws. Under the cover of darkness, Keisha Cross sent the Looper on a dangerous mission. They were to meet Cassidy Quinn, a skilled getaway driver with a knack for trouble. Their target, Fletcher Cain's prized vehicle, locked away in the heavily guarded garage at Lone Wolf Lair. The plan was simple: slip in undetected, steal the car, and send a message to Cain that his control was slipping. But nothing ever went according to plan. As Cassidy and the Looper crept through the lair, Cain's guards were already on high alert. The whispers of Midas' return had spread, and every soldier was under strict orders. If they saw him, they were to eliminate him on sight. When word reached Cain that his car had been stolen, his fury was uncontrollable. His voice echoed through the halls of his fortress as he shouted at his guards. "Stop talking and start shooting," he roared. A bounty was placed on Midas, the highest yet. No one would be safe from Cain's wrath, not until Midas was gone for good. But Cain had bigger matters to attend to. His deal with Dego, his mysterious mask maker, was still in motion. Gold shipments continued to flow into Dego's workshop, where something far more sinister was brewing. Deep within the workshop, Cain's henchmen hesitated. They were terrified of the dark magic that pulsed through the air. The whispers of ancient forces lingered between the walls. But Cain had no patience for their fear. The masks being created in this hidden lair were not ordinary disguises. They were infused with power, magic that twisted and corrupted, granting strength at a terrible cost. But Dego's ambitions were beyond mere masks. He was working on something even more dangerous, something that should have never even been touched again. The mask hung on the wall like a relic of forgotten nightmares. It was a ruinous mass of power, once shattered in the wake of the Shattering War. Kendo himself had warned that it should never be restored, and yet Dego had begun its reconstruction using kintsugai, the art of reforging broken things with gold. Gold, the very resource Cain had been feeding him in abundance. As Dego pieced the mask back together, a silent force stirred within its core. Something dark, something waiting. The arrangement between Cain and Dego was simple: gold in exchange for power. Cain supplied the riches and Dego created his cursed masks. But there was something Cain didn't know. Dego needed gold for more than just his craft. He was preparing for a confrontation of his own, one against the darkness that lurked behind the mask he now restored. Cain may have believed he was in control, but Dego had his own agenda. And Midas, he wasn't just there to cause trouble. He knew what Cain was up to, and he had every intention of stopping him before it was too late. The pieces were in motion. Midas was rallying his outlaws, Cain was tightening his grip, and Dego, he was playing with forces beyond his control. The island was on the brink of something far greater than anyone had imagined. What happens next? Will Midas outmaneuver Cain? Will Dego finish his work? And what darkness is waiting within the mask? A storm had been brewing on the island. Midas, the golden tactician, had sensed a disturbance, something subtle yet deeply threatening. Fletcher Cain, the notorious Baron, was moving pieces in the shadows, and Midas wasn't about to sit idle. He sent out one of his most trusted operatives to investigate. Their first destination, Lone Wolf Lair. The lair, once a quiet stronghold, now held secrets that pointed towards something far greater than Midas expected. Inside, 3 key clues revealed the scope of Cain's ambition. In the office, confidential files exposed a chilling detail. Cain had been researching the zero-point shard, an artifact capable of reshaping reality itself. Near the vault door, marks and damage hinted at forced access. But what truly caught attention was what wasn't there. Inside the vault, a metal box lay open and empty, once filled with bars of gold, now completely stripped. But the most unsettling detail wasn't the missing gold. Hanging ominous on the wall was a strange golden mask, elegant, arcane, and completely out of place. It was clear this wasn't just about gold anymore. Something darker was unfolding. With the investigation pointing towards their larger operation, Midas began to strategize. Cain's actions weren't just reckless, they were coordinated. He needed to be stopped. But to do that, Midas had to understand the full plan. First, the operative was ordered to gear up. Only top-tier weapons and items would do. Then they began systematically eliminating Cain's lieutenants, his alpha-heavy henchmen. Each each one loyal and lethal. The goal wasn't just disruption, Midas needed information. From the fallen lieutenants, one key discovery emerged. They were all following secret orders to transport Kane's gold to a mysterious collaborator, and Midas already had a strong guess as to who it was. To confirm it, an armored transport was intercepted, a high-risk heist but necessary. Inside was a fortune in gold, and a manifest confirming its destination, the Thousand Faces shop, known across the island as the Mask Workshop. The journey now shifted from gold to something far more supernatural. The Mask Workshop had long been abandoned by normal operations, but as the operative approached, a heavy, unnatural fog blanketed the air. It felt wrong, charged with dark energy, almost as if the island itself was trying to warn intruders to stay away. Something in the air made skin crawl. It was more than fear, it was spiritual resistance. Inside the workshop, nothing was ordinary. The deeper the operative went, the darker the magic became. Down in the basement, the truth was revealed. A massive mask-making machine, long dormant, had been reawakened, powered by Kane's stolen gold. But it wasn't just creating masks for Kane's guards, it was rebuilding something ancient and dangerous, the Sinister Mask. Crafted with arcane skill by Dego, a once exiled master of mask forging, this artifact wasn't just powerful, it was capable of tearing through the boundaries between realms. With this mask, Dego intended to breach the spirit realm and seize the 0-point shard for himself. The picture was now complete. Kane, desperate for power, had been manipulated. Dego had promised him an army, alpha guards equipped with enchanted masks, and in return, Kane funded his efforts. But now that Dego had what he needed, betrayal was inevitable. The operative returned to Midas, delivering the full report. The Golden King absorbed every detail, calculating his next move. Dego had played Kane like a pawn, and now with the Sinister Mask restored, he had the means to execute a plan that could corrupt the very fabric of the island. Midas knew they were out of time. Stopping Dego would require more than brute force. It would take collaboration, perhaps even with the very people Midas once opposed, Hope, Jones, and the so-called heroes of the island. Pride was no longer an option. The Zero Shard was too powerful to fall into the wrong hands. The order was clear. Dego must be stopped, no matter the cost. And as the islands braced itself for the next great conflict, only one thing was certain. The battle for the 0 point was far from over. After the collapse of his conflict with Shogun X and the narrow escape that saved Jade's life, Dego vanished. No messages, no signs, only whispers from distant travelers who claimed they saw flickers of purple flame deep within the foggy woodlands of Magic Moses. But Dego hadn't disappeared. He had relocated, intentionally and in secret, to a quiet riverbank far from the meddling eyes of the island's factions. There, surrounded by ancient stone carvings and roots tangled with old magic, he began rebuilding something long thought lost, the broken demon portal. The same portal that had once nearly torn the world apart. Kane, his silent guardian, stood watch day and night. No questions asked, no hesitation. He had sworn himself to Dago's cause, though few truly understood what that cause even was. To Dego, the path forward was simple. The spirit realm held answers and power, and above all, a way to save the island from something no one else had yet seen coming. He believed the threat was in the world of men, but beyond it. So while others chased chaos in the streets, Dego prepared to rip open the veil between realms. As the reconstructed portal roared back to life, energy began to spill into the skies. At first it was subtle, just a shimmer in the air, a distortion in sound, but it grew. The light intensified. Magic, ancient and unstable, cracked the atmosphere above Magic Moses. Eventually, someone came to stop him. A looper acting alone arrived to end the ritual. They fought Kane with everything they had. It wasn't personal, it was survival. Kane, ever loyal, fell defending Dego, but the sacrifice bought him enough time. Dego stepped into the portal, and the world lost him. Inside the spirit realm, time moved differently. The air was heavy, the colors all wrong, and in that chaos something found Dego. A presence. Dark and consuming. It didn't speak, it didn't threaten, it emerged. Slowly, painfully, completely. The man who entered that realm was not the one who returned. When Dego came back, his soul was no longer his own. The spirit realm had corrupted him, twisting his purpose, rewriting his thought, feeding his ego. He was no longer Dego, protector of the island. He was his would-be savior turned demon. Back in Mass Meadows, rumors had begun to swirl about Dego's abandoned shop. People said it was cursed, that strange lights came from within on moonless nights. Most stayed away, but not everyone. The Tasty Boys, an up-and-coming hip-hop duo, had a different agenda. They weren't hunters or heroes, they just wanted something shiny to rap about. So one night, under cover of fog, they broke in. They weren't looking for trouble, but they found it. Inside the dusty shop, hidden beneath cracked shelves and velvet curtains, they found a mask. One of Dego's creations, ornate, beautiful, and powerful. Big Deal couldn't resist. He picked it up, slid it on, and in an instant his mind shattered. He saw things no mortal should see. Rivers of flame, skies torn open, Dego towering over the island with eyes like dying stars. The spirit bomb had shown him the truth, or perhaps just a glimpse of what was coming. Before they could run, the air grew still. The shadows thickened, and from the silence behind them, Dego emerged. Not a man, not a mage, something else entirely. And far above them, beyond the reach of any mortal defense, something stirred in orbit. A spaceship cloaked in darkness and long-forgotten tech had shifted course. Drawn to the energy Dego had unleashed, it began a slow descent towards the island, not to help, not to stop him, but to witness what came next. Because this was just the beginning. Dego is no longer searching for salvation, he believes he is salvation, and he will stop at nothing to reshape the island in his image, even if it means burning it to the ground. After the Tasty Boys barely escaped Dego's shop, word spread fast. Big Deal never spoke again, not in verses, not in whispers. Some say he still hears Dego's voice, others say he left the island entirely, but one thing was certain, the demon had returned, and he wasn't hiding anymore. The corrupted energy from the spirit realm now bled through the island's lead lines, twisting wildlife, mutating landmarks, and cracking the skies above magic houses. Strange symbols bloom in the soil. Old stone guardians once thought decorative began to move, and every night the stars shifted a little further out of place. Then came the ships. First a ripple in the clouds, then a low, thunderous hum that stretched across the sky like a warning. Star destroyers. Hundreds of them. The Empire had arrived. Long ago, in a forgotten corner of the island known as Oninoshima, legends whispered of a place beyond our world. A realm untouched by time, cloaked in shadow, and filled with ancient spirits, both wise and wicked. Few believed the stories, but Dego, the mask maker, believed in more than stories. He believed in power. Guided by secrets buried deep beneath the earth and aided by the cunning Baron Fletcher Kane, Dego did the unthinkable. He opened a portal, a tear in reality leading straight into the spirit realm. The Looper tried to stop them, fought through storms, traps, armies, but in the end it wasn't enough. The Baron fell, betrayed by the very man he helped rise. And Dego, he stepped into the unknown, convinced he alone could save Oninoshima from the curse he believed was coming. But what waited on the other side was no salvation. The spirit realm had been waiting for someone like him. It wrapped around him like smoke, whispering truths he wanted to hear, until it twisted him from within. Dego was gone. In his place stood something else, something demonic. But while shadows spread from the inside, a far greater threat approached from above. From the cold, starless void beyond the galaxy it came, an empire. Relentless, merciless, led by an ancient evil long thought defeated, the Death Star. Its size was unfathomable. Its purpose was clear. Dominate the island, crush all resistance, leave nothing behind. As Star Destroyers carved through the skies above Oninoshima, holograms flickered to life across the land. Ray calling for unity, Palpatine promising glory, each through mysterious rift gates, pulling the island's people to pick a side. But beneath the chaos, Leia Organa uncovered something strange. Imperial forces weren't just here to conquer, they were searching for something. Something hidden in the junk scattered across the island. Something old, forgotten, dangerous. With help from the Looper, Leia launched a desperate investigation. They found an encrypted Imperial cache high in the mountain's range. Inside, files, schematics, clues to a weapon or maybe a key that had drawn the Empire here in the first place. The rebels had no time. Luke and Han landed on the island to prepare new fighters. Chewbacca rallied troops from the front lines. Even Jar Jar Binks, yes, that Jar Jar, tried to boost morale as the ground shook beneath the weight of the war. Then, from the ashes of an ancient agreement came another unexpected force. the Mandalorians. Their armor gleamed like firelight, their intentions murky. They didn't trust anyone, especially not their current allies. They turned to the Looper again, asking for help to uncover a hidden betrayal. It didn't take long. At a remote outpost, the truth was revealed. Their allies had sold them out, secretly working with the Empire, waiting for the right time to strike. Betrayal confirmed, alliances shattered, the Mandalorians began to look elsewhere, perhaps even to the rebellion. But as the final pieces moved into place, something shifted. The portal, the one Dego had opened, the one the Looper had helped destroy, had rebuilt itself. No hand touched it, no magic reforged it. It pulsed on its own, alive, watching. And then it opened. Now, as the skies burn with lasers and whispers return from the spirit realm, one question remains. Who will control the island? The Empire, the Rebellion, or something far older that neither side truly understands? In a calculated movement to crush the morale of the Rebellion and remind the galaxy of Imperial dominance, the Empire dispatches a single-star destroyer to the skies above the island. Its presence alone casts a long, looming shadow over the terrain below, a clear message to anyone daring to resist. But this isn't just intimidation, this is war. Without warning, the ship begins its assault. Beams of destructive energy rain down, leveling communication outposts, supply depots, and civilian shelters. Entire regions of the island are reduced to smoldering ruins in minutes, as the Empire puts its overwhelming firepower on full display. There's no invasion force, no stormtroopers deployed, only the cold mechanical efficiency of destruction from above. Deep within the safety of a fortified rebel outpost, Leia Organa watches the chaos unfold through flickering holo screens. Her expression is unwavering. She's seen this before, the Empire's fear tactics, their reliance on brute strength and terror to maintain control. But she also knows their greatest weapon is still in orbit, waiting. And time is running out. While others around her scramble to respond to the ongoing attack, Leia remains focused on a different goal. The Star Destroyer above the island may be wreaking havoc, but it's only a distraction. The true threat, the Death Star, still looms in the distance. And unless it's stopped, no place in the galaxy will ever be safe again. After days of planning and coordination, she makes the call. The time has come to shift from defense to offense. The Rebellion is then reacting. Now they're going to strike first and take the fight directly to the heart of the Empire. Leia's plan is bold, dangerous, and possibly suicidal, but it's the only shot they have. As the island smolders and the Star Destroyer continues its assault, a new chapter begins. One that won't be written in fear, but in fire, courage, and the unshakable hope that even the darkest empire can fall. They arrived under false pretenses, not as warriors but as captives. A squadron of loopers led by Jones and Hopes approached the Death Star disguised as a prisoner transport. X-Wings and stolen TIE fighters blended into Imperial traffic, slipping through defenses with quiet precision. Inside the station, every second counted. Dressed in stormtrooper armor, the group scattered through steel corridors under cold fluorescent light. The goal was clear: disable the Death Star's weapon systems before the Empire could tear the island apart. Deep within the fortress, the squad regrouped at the armory. There, surrounded by rack of blasters and crates of Imperial tech, the truth came into focus. Live feeds revealed the island under siege. Imperial ships draining it of resources, searching for something buried deep beneath. Armed with E-11s and DLT-19s, the loopers moved quickly. As sirens wailed, they pushed toward the weapon core, fighting back waves of stormtroopers. Every hallway became a gauntlet, every corner a potential ambush. Jones tried to buy them time, tapping into powers he barely understood, but the Force didn't answer him. When confronted, he relied on instinct and blaster fire instead. At least the weapon systems were sabotaged, power nodes overloaded, turrets powered down. The Death Star's defenses collapsed just as Blue Squadron roared into view. The skies outside shimmered with incoming fire, but the escape didn't go as planned. As the team sprinted toward the hangar, an out-of-control TIE fighter plummeted through the structure. The explosion ripped the bridge apart, separating Hope from the rest. Chaos erupted, communications faltered, the team fractured. And then, the air changed. From the shadows of the ruined corridor, a figure emerged. Robed in darkness, lit by the red glow of his saber, Imperial Palpatine had arrived. His presence was overwhelming. His control of the Force absolute. Blaster fire meant nothing. The Emperor deflected each shot with ease, then wrenched the weapons from their hands with unseen pull. One by one, loopers were lifted, crushed, thrown like ragdolls. TIE fighters were hurled like missiles. Lightning seared through metal and bone. Palpatine didn't fight, he annihilated. But before the final blow could fall, a flash of energy crackled the air. A rift to go flung straight into the heart of his lightning storm. Reality distorted, space bent, and in a sudden burst they were no longer inside the Death Star. They were falling above the island. Behind them, the Death Star was consumed in light. Blue Squadron's torpedoes had done their work. The explosion carved through space, its fire reaching toward the void. But the destruction didn't stop there. One massive fragment burning like a comet plunged toward the island and struck a spirit realm portal hidden in the mountains. The impact triggered something ancient. A shockwave rippled outward. The portal pulsed and released a pillar of light skyward, warping the air, shaking the ground, knocking every survivor unconscious. Far above the atmosphere, a figure turned. Hovering alone in the silence of space, Superman witnessed the entire chain of events. The detonation, the portal's beam, the rising energy signature. And he moved. Faster than light, he descended toward the island, specifically to Oninoshima, where a downed battle bus burned among shattered trees and cracked earth. Inside, a group of young individuals struggled to escape the wreckage. Superman landed like a meteor of hope, shielding them from falling debris, lifting the bus, and pulling them free. But something was different. The shockwave had changed them. Their DNA danced with energy from both the portal and the shattered Empire tech. New powers awakened in them, volatile, unpredictable. One of them, a Sun-10 specialist, was fused with his pet lizard in a blast, creating a new hybrid being, Ziggy. He wasn't alone. These weren't just survivors anymore. They were the first of something new. Meanwhile, in the spirit realm, Dego stood victorious. He had breached a portal using a mask forged from Kane's gold, molded by forbidden magic. Kane had been used, discarded after his vaults had served their purpose. The outlaws tried to stop Dego, but it was too late. Inside the realm, Dego faced the demon guardian, and accepted its gift. His flesh twisted, his armor fused to his skin. He emerged no longer human, but demon. A warlord of hellfire. When the spirit realm was damaged, it created a bridge, a way back. Dego returned. He emerged on Masked Meadows, the land withered beneath his feet. Within hours, the lush village was gone, replaced by a castle of black stone. Surrounded by eternal storm, a new throne had been claimed. Following the destruction of the Death Star, debris from the explosion crashed directly into the spirit portal that Dego was opening. The impact triggered a massive shockwave that spread across Reality 783, giving many of the island's residents superpowers. In the Death Star sabotage event, we finally got to see the outside of the island, and it turns out Reality 783 has its own loop bubble. While we're unsure when this loop was created, it might suggest that there is not just one zero shard on the island. After the spirit portal shockwave, many of the island's residents received superpowers, but they needed to learn how to wield them properly. This is where Hope, Jones, and Midas come in. The three took the opportunity to create Supernova Academy. Hope and Jones are the founders of Supernova Academy. Midas assisted in the Academy's creation by providing all the funding necessary to establish it. Once the Academy was founded, Hope, Jones, Nightros, Superman, and Robin all became instructors at the school. Superman accidentally arrived on the island through a rift. Although his arrival was not intentional, he still wants to help Hope and Jones with Supernova Academy and hopefully assist in saving Dego. The Supernovas are the superhero students at Supernova Academy. The main team consists of Morgan and Mist, Killswitch, Haley Sky, Ziggy, Synthwave, and Lightwave. Out of all the Supernovas, Hope believes Morgan Mist has the most potential, and she's assigned a looper to personally take Morgan under their wing. Dego has returned to the island from the spirit realm, but now he is known as the Mask Maker. The island's self-centered hero has now become corrupted and possessed by the Dark Presence itself. The Dark Presence's influence over Dego is too powerful, and Dego cannot control his own body. Despite that, Dego still tries to resist the presence, and whenever he is able to gain back control for a small moment, he uses it to cry out for help. After opening the spirit portal, Maskmaker Dego has transformed Masked Meadows into Demon's domain. Within his domain, he is siphoning the island's power in preparation to what seems like bring the Dark Presence rest of the island through a large spirit portal. Assisting in his siphoning of the island are the spires. But that's not all these mysterious spires are doing. The spires are actually anchoring the spirit realm to Oninoshima, turning the island more dark and strange by the day. With Dego now corrupted, Kendo and Jade had mixed reactions. Kendo immediately became severely upset upon learning what happened to his older brother. Jade, on the other hand, has been holding out hope that Dego can be saved. After some investigating and upon realizing that Dego is not in control of his own body, Kendo has recently changed his mind and agrees with Jade that Dego can be saved. Core has returned to the storyline and is now the lieutenant of the spirit realm. As someone who has had some deep ties with the Imagined Order, there is something more suspicious going on with her presence on the island, especially because she's not binded to the darkness like the Night Rose was. But Core being here isn't the only suspicious thing. Over at Utopia City, a portal leading to the vault can be found. As of recently, it has been revealed that Midas has been working on this secret project with Hope. Their plan is to bring the Zero Shard from Oninoshima to the vault, once they've taken it back from the Dark Presence, indicating that the Zero Point is most likely being rebuilt by Midas and whoever he's working with. The Singularity, a member of the Imagined Order, was the guardian of the vault back in Chapter 1 Season 8, and she turned the island into a utopia in Chapter 1 Season 9. Now, in Chapter 6 Season 3, we have a portal leading to the vault within a POI named Utopia City. This might be alluding to her return. Hope still couldn't believe how quickly Supernova Academy had come together. She was especially impressed with her students, particularly Morgan Mist. Morgan had immense potential, but first she needed help mastering her newfound powers. Before the Looper was able to meet her, Hope sent them on a mission. Morgan's shadow proxies had scattered across the island, thrown into disarray by her unstable abilities. They were confused, disoriented, and completely out of sync. The Looper's task was to find each proxy, mimic them, and gradually synchronize them back to Morgan's essence. It wasn't easy, but eventually the shadows snapped into harmony, and Morgan was whole again. When the Looper finally met her, Morgan thanked them warmly. She revealed that Hope had spoken of the Looper before, believing they could help her grow. Morgan was ready to begin her journey, and so was the Looper. Their first mission together involved uncovering Mask Maker's Dego's plans for the Spires. With her mind sharp and eager, Morgan asked the Looper to gather surveillance equipment and install it throughout Demon's domain. From their vantage point, the Looper could see the damage clearly. The Spires were hurting people, draining the island's energy and destabilizing its reality. The Looper began collecting Spire fragments and rushed them back to Supernova Academy. Superman took the fragments for analysis and thanked the Looper. He believed their properties could help the Academy better understand the Mask Maker's intentions and, more importantly, how to protect the island. Hope's faith in Morgan only deepened. She trusted the Looper to be Morgan's mentor, guiding her like a true student of their own. The Looper helped Morgan complete her first week of training, refining her control and confidence. But just as the week wrapped up, she shared a troubling suspicion. The instructors were hiding something big. Together, they began a covert investigation, sneaking into the offices of Jones, Hope, and Night Rose. They gathered a series of cryptic clues. Every clue pointed in one direction: Midas and his secret operation in Utopia City. Back at Morgan's pinboard, they pieced together the truth. A mysterious archway in Utopia City was hiding something massive, something Hope and Midas didn't want anyone to know about. To unlock the archway, a sprite was needed. They found one and made their way to Utopia City. As they activated the archway, a shimmering portal formed before them. It led to none other than the Zero Point Vault. A hologram of Midas appeared, watching them calmly. He praised Morgan's determination and revealed the purpose behind everything. Morgan, still unsure if she could trust them, urged the Looper to confront Hope. When they did, Hope admitted the truth. Yes, Midas was funding Supernova Academy, but more than that, he and Hope were working on a classified project known as the Vault. The Vault's mission was clear: secure the Zero Shard. If more shards existed and posed threats across the multiverse, then the Vault was necessary to contain and protect them. And now, with Morgan's growing power, Hope believed they had a new key player in their hands, a spark of potential that could change the island's future forever. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.